My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Riff Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticriff.com, and we're speaking to legendary keyboardist Mark Mangold. Am I pronouncing your name right, Mark?
Yes, you are.
Okay, and you're from the band American Tears. Now, let me ask you something, Mark. The band, I understand, has been around for quite a while. How long has American Tears been around? And the reason I'm asking is I'm kind of I'm loving the new album, and I've never heard of you guys before, and I'm reading everything on your band. It's like, a legendary band, and I'm like, as great as your band is, how is it that I have not heard of you guys?
I don't know. It's so weird. I think the main reason is because we don't have a guitar player.
No, that's funny you say that, because I'm very well aware in doing research for an interview that the band is very much based around keyboards, and I'll tell you, a lot of people that always are telling me, keyboards don't belong in rock music. I strongly disagree with that. Perfect example is,
What?
Yeah, perfect. What? Yeah,
keyboards don't, okay.
But I will tell you, my argument there is, look at bands like Boston, Bon Jovi, even the great Deep Purple. Look at anything John Lord did, and you tell me keyboards suck. I don't agree with that.
Well, how about Vanilla Fudge or the Rascals or
yeah.
Hammond organ was the basis of rock in the 60s and 70s. Behind everything, it was Hammond. So yeah, we had three albums in this early 70s. It was a keyboard trio. The thing about the band was we really wanted to stress musicianship. It was kind of progressive, but in those days, that was, the times when bands like Zeppelin and you mentioned Deep Purple and Jethro Tull and all these, so many bands were trying to carve out their sound and being creative. So it was a different kind of environment than it is now. But behind American Tears is that kind of feeling that we're trying to do something refreshing and new that you haven't heard before, and we're doing it with keyboards because I'm a keyboard player.
Now let me ask you about that, Mark. Obviously you're a keyboard player, as you mentioned, and you're also the lead singer. Now I was curious, did you start out on piano as your instrument, or were you a singer first?
Well, I really worked with a lot of other singers. I almost don't even consider myself a singer, but yeah, I kind of sing by necessity. We happen to have a piano in the house, but I really gravitated to the organ.
Oh, wow.
I got a Lowry organ. I couldn't afford a Hammond at the beginning. But then finally I saved up and got this beautiful C3 blonde Hammond, which is just, gorgeous sound. But I also grew up in an area on Long Island. There was a place called the Action House, which was the birthplace of bands like the Rascals, played there all the time, Vanilla Fudge, Billy Joel. I used to live 15 minutes from this place. I used to play with a band called The Gathering Storm there. So you're really surrounded by keyboards and organs. And as a keyboard player, you're waiting for stuff to be invented because there's the Minimo has one note, the Odyssey is monophonic. So when the ARP strings came out, which you might recognize from Gary Wright, Dreamweaver, everybody went crazy. Oh, we can play more than one note. So we were kind of waiting for this stuff to be invented at the time, and we were just trying to do our thing and be original and. But I've worked with some great singers. I've worked with Michael Bolton, Paul Rodgers, and Cher, thank God recorded a song of mine. So I've worked with some wonderful singers. So compared to that, I don't really consider myself a singer, though. I do kind of have to get the stuff out there. And I really feel, for me, it's emotion and conveying emotion more than it is having that great Ian Gillan voice. Or David Coverdale. I love those guys. I had Paul Rodgers actually sang a song of mine, who's one of my favorite singers.
Oh, wow.
He was in a band called The Law, and he sang a song that I wrote with Benny Mardones. I don't know if you know Benny.
Whitesnake, right? Yeah.
Benny had a song called Into the Night.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so I've worked with some great singers. So when I think of my singing, I'm just, I'm happy I'm getting away with it.
Well, you do a pretty decent job. Like you said, you get away with it. Now, let me ask you on that note. Do you think part of it, too, being that you write a lot of the stuff, that if you had somebody else singing your music, you might be more critical of how they're singing your songs, if you know what I mean? Whereas if you sing your own material, you kind of know already how you hear it in your head.
I would say the opposite of that.
Okay.
I'm super critical of me. I mean, for me, the gauge is a truthful.
Okay.
Do you believe that person? But, when you work with Michael Bolton or, those guys, he knows what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
And usually, or Paul Rogers, I mean, you're getting chills just listening to these people.
And in that case, I would imagine it's like you said, Paul Rogers is doing my song. Wow,
Yeah, I mean, the bar is so high.
Yeah.
At that level. But for me, when I'm judging my own stuff, because the lyrics are emotional, they're important.
Yeah.
And some of them are kind of political. Some of the songs are protest songs. So it's about, am I being truthful or am I just faking it?
Yeah.
And I seem to have a way to gauge that where, I'm believing it.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, I know you're calling from Sweden Day. Is that where you're living these days, or you just there visiting?
Well, I am. I've been here about 6 months. Because of all this Corona thing.
Oh, okay.
It's very, and the border thing. It's very difficult for me to get back to the States.
Yeah.
So I'm locked here in a way. I'm really looking forward to getting back, and I'm hoping things lighten up a little bit after this election.
Yeah.
And fingers crossed, because I have a daughter. I have
grandchildren.
I have a 6-month-old grandson.
Oh, wow.
A 2-year-old granddaughter, and a goddaughter who's just hit 10, last week. So I miss them a lot.
I bet.
But meanwhile, I talk to them like I talk to you.
Okay, that's cool. And
at least every 2 days I'm talking to them.
And now I hear everything in Europe is still kind of locked down, or maybe locked down again. What's it like where you're living? I mean, are people able to get out and do much of anything?
Yeah, well, here it's common sense. I mean, they lock down to be preventative.
Yeah.
They're not locking down because people they're locking down because they're smart and they don't want it to go crazy. And it's just common sense.
Yeah.
You stay away from each other. So, no, it's not bad at all. I mean, we wear masks. When I go out, we social distance. People do this shit automatically. No one's saying, "Oh, you're invading my rights."
Or you have to do it. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
We need to do this stuff to come through this together. So there's not all this drama going on here.
Yeah, I mean,
they just do what needs to be done. So
I think we're all adults here. I mean, where I'm living in California, the governor here. I mean, just to talk a little bit about how ridiculous it is here. He usually just yesterday he put out a statement. That he doesn't want people celebrating Thanksgiving with their family. You're only allowed to have 3 people in your house. No singing or chanting. I'm like, really? Who are you to tell us what to do?
Yes. Well, what's cool about Europe and Sweden is they leave it up to people to use their common sense.
Yeah.
So they're not like ordering. But in the States, you got to tell people what to do because they're so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
If they would just use their brains and do it voluntarily, it would be okay. But they don't. There's too many agendas.
Yeah. And my main thing, or my main gripe is, like you said, I think we're all adults here. Nobody needs to be telling anybody else, really what to do or what you should or shouldn't do. I mean, unless
you would think not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But
which brings me to one of the new songs on the album. I was just listening to prepping for us today. There's a song on there called "Woke." I'm assuming that has a lot to do with what's going on in the world today.
Yeah, that's maybe one of the protests. In a way. So I mean, I'm not beating anybody over the head.
No.
I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just. Are you woke?
Yeah.
It's kind of a phrase that's kind of happening now. We just did a video of it. It's like it's the second single. Actually.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun to do. So, are you fucking woke?
Yeah, I mean, woke to me is kind of especially, I mean, it's more so everywhere you turn around, but back in the day when it was politicians just getting up on TV, getting on up in their soapbox and telling the rest of the world, this is a proper way to talk, or this is a proper way to greet somebody, or whatever, you know. I mean, like going back, and they were tearing the United States for months. They were tearing down a lot of these famous statues of these historical figures because all of a sudden they were racist and they shouldn't be honored with that statues. And I'm like, come on now, that's taking it a little too far, you know.
That's the question: is where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line? And if your grandfather was a slave, and you don't want to, you know, I mean, it's really you draw the line. You know, if you're saying a statue of Hitler, where do you draw the line? So
I hear.
As far as I'm concerned, if somebody wants to, you know, take something down or it offends them, fuck it, you know, do it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, though, like, you know, the world's not perfect, and I think we learn from our history. And so, as far as being woke, I don't like when they try to change the history or when they try to, you know, just erase the history. Like, again, here in California, where I'm from, we used to have Columbus Day. You know, it used to be a national holiday, and the governor here decided, oh, he was a racist, so we're not going to honor him with, you know, the state of California. We're not going to honor him with a holiday anymore. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, just interesting. Now, getting back to the album, because it's a great sounding kind of classic rock album. And I'll tell you, like in my case, when your publicist sent me, you know, the press release about the band, I went online and I did some research and I checked out the video for Sledgehammer Red. That's another great kind of rockin' tune. And
thank you.
And the thing is, I not only do I want to go out and get the new album, but I want to go and get the stuff that came before, you know, because I'm like...
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's almost like it's been one big album since 2018. We did... we started off with hardcore, and then White Flags was last year, and there's now Free Angel Express. And actually, the next one is pretty much finished, too.
That's amazing. Thank you.
It's just an obsession, you know, and I don't have to really rely on anybody so much. I mean, I have an amazing drummer, Alex, who's there. You know, he's a phone call away, and of course Barry Sparks from Ingve and some other
Dawkins,
and he's now playing with Michael Schenker, you know, on bass. So it's easier to spit things out if the creativity keeps flowing. You know, it's not that hard. You don't have to wait for a major studio like in the old days. In the old days, we used to have to wait to get a budget. You save up for a year, and maybe you get into a major studio so you can get a really good drum sound. And now, you know, you can just do these things on a Mac and keep being creative. And the gear on a Mac, and, you know, I have this microphone here.
Okay.
A world-class Neumann microphone, and so you can do this stuff as quickly as you can create it. You can finish it. So.
I mean, I was interviewing a guy the other day, and he was telling me each guy in the band like lives in a different corner of the world, and he's like, you know, we don't really usually see each other until, you know, we start touring or anything like that. He goes, you know, we just send stuff, and it's amazing. You know, it saves money.
That's the way it's done now.
Modern.
It's not as much fun. You know, you want to be in the room and feel it and have that energy and rocking, but it's very frustrating. Yeah,
I mean, that's the only difference I hear. I mean, when I was growing up, sonically, like you said, the bands would go in the room and everybody be in there, and you could just sonically hear it when you play the album. But, you know, that's the way the world is. And the only other thing I will say about modern technology and a lot of the music being released digitally is, back in the day, probably, you know, when you and I were growing up, Mark, like you said, they'd go in and they'd record these classic albums, and you can listen to all 10 songs on the album, and they pretty much sound the same. Or you get that feeling like, you know, they were written specifically for this album. These songs were written at the same time. Where you do today, you know, you might record a few tracks today, a few tracks, you know, next month, and they don't, you know, when you get enough tunes put out an album, they don't necessarily all sound the same. And I think that's kind of a benefit doing it the modern way.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes, you know, especially in pop. They'll have one guy produce one song, you know, I guess Katy Perry or something like that. You know, she works with 5 or 6 writers and producers. So it's a little harder to get it to sound cohesive.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe I don't know. Maybe it doesn't have to be cohesive. But American Tears is using similar sounds for a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same organ.
Yeah.
It's the same drums pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's the same instrumentation. So it does get to be easier.
And
make it sound kind of cohesive.
And I think going back to a top interview, I kind of laugh when people make that comment. Keyboards don't really belong in rock music. I really strongly disagree. But I think part of the reason they do is I would imagine it's so very easy to write a song on the piano. Just sit down and kind of create your song and whatever comes out, kind of.
Well, that's an interesting theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as opposed to having.
I have to say though.
Yeah.
On some of these synths, you pick up a sound and it has a certain thing going on.
Yeah.
Whether it could be a sequence.
Yeah.
And some of these sounds cause you to create songs and play certain things in a certain way that you wouldn't play in the piano.
Yeah.
Piano can be kind of boring.
Okay.
I love the Hammond and some other stuff, but sometimes these sounds kind of send you to a
different place than you want to go.
There's a different place, a chord you might not have played, a sound, a vibe. So it's really a lot of fun. There's a song we have, the last song on the record, which actually didn't fit on the CD, but you can get it on download. It's called Tusk.
Okay.
And it's kind of it's a tribute to these elephants sort of getting poached.
Yeah.
It's called Blood on the Ivory.
Oh wow.
And it starts off with sound elephants dying. And,
oh wow.
I looked around and you press a key and it's like an elephant screaming or a gunshot.
Wow, that really gets your attention, definitely. Yeah, when you're listening to that. Yeah.
So I think I discovered the sound and then I wrote the song.
Amazing.
But it's I never would have done that if I hadn't discovered those elephants.
Wow, and let me ask you, because I was reading on your Facebook page that you were recently rewarded something about the choreographer award of some kind. You want to talk a little bit about that?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Well, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. That's good. I love that.
In addition to the rock and the prog, I also... Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I also write pop sometimes, and I was fortunate enough to have 5 songs in a movie that's out on Netflix now. Go check out High Strung Free Dance.
Okay. Yeah.
There's some amazing choreography by the guy who... What do you do? What's that dance show? Dance with the Stars?
Oh, Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So Tice, he's an amazing choreographer. So he... I have a bunch of songs in that movie, and Tice choreographed some stuff to it, and now it's been nominated, for the best choreography.
And now let me ask you, like,
wow, it's amazing to write a song, and then somebody dances to it.
Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, now, talk a little bit about that in the sense that, like, when you have one of a few.
And I wrote it here, man.
Wow.
I wrote. I had, there's amazing Swedish singers here.
Oh, wow.
Amazing Swedish talent, producers, songwriters.
Yeah, because, again, first I was prepping for the interview we're doing today, and then I also came across some of your solo work on YouTube, and there was one tune in particular, I guess it dates back to 1980. It's called Touch, Listen, Can You Feel? And that's quite a poppy tune, but very commercial, radio friendly, and I was just digging on that. I got to tell you.
Have you heard of Touch, the band Touch?
No.
That's probably, in terms of rock, the most successful band I've been in. Oh. Touch, American Tears did 3 records, and then we evolved into a band called Touch, which was on Atlantic, and we played Donington, Donington Monsters of Rock.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We were actually the first band to play at Donington. We played at the first Donington at the first band, opening up for Rainbow and Judas Priest and Scorpions and...
Oh, wow.
And so check out Don't You Know What Love Is. That was our kind of hit.
Okay.
And that was Touch. And Touch has just actually completed another record. We're in the process of mixing that. and that has guitars.
Oh, okay, very interesting. Yeah, because I was going to say, opening up for Rainbow and Judas Priest, that's quite interesting. But okay, but yeah, you're kind of all over the map. But that's good. That's what I dig. And you're talking about keyboards and stuff in rock. I mean, it's amazing when you look at guys like Freddie Mercury or even Axl Rose, or you were mentioning Whitesnake earlier. I love how they kind of incorporate keyboards into their sound. And what's kind of interesting about I'm a huge Whitesnake fan, I gotta tell you. And David Coverdale, I was kind of a Whitesnake fan first because of my age. I discovered him first in Whitesnake, and then I discovered later on, oh no, he's a guy that sang on that Burn album, back in 1973.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Glenn Hughes.
Yeah,
Killer.
yeah. And I tell you, they killed it together.
I saw them live many times.
Yeah. Did you ever hear of a Whitesnake a few years ago when they did the Purple album, and they did all his Purple classics?
I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Coverdale's an amazing singer.
Yeah, very underrated, but he's
I don't know. I don't know if he's underrated, man. He's
not underrated, but I mean, I guess in the sense that I remember when that '87 album really broke, and Robert Plant was kind of calling him David cover version, and I'm like, okay, he was influenced by you, but okay, whatever,
Oh, that they had a little war going on.
Yeah.
But they were hugely successful.
So, yeah.
And he's so looked up to by all the. It's like Ronnie Dio. Everyone's trying to sound like Ronnie Dio.
Yeah.
David Coverdale. Or Ian Gillan kind of. So it's interesting. My hero is a guy named Jimmy Smith, who's an jazz organ player.
Oh, okay.
Jimmy Smith is kind of the hero. If you play Hammond organ, that's the guy you kind of want to emulate. He mastered the instrument. He was just amazing. But he was more jazz.
Okay.
And bluesy. But he's kind of the reason I started playing Hammond.
Okay, and now American Tears, I know everything's kind of locked down still, and that's probably why you've been able to do so much music this year. Like you said, you're pretty much done with the next.
I would say so.
Yeah.
It has something to do with it.
Yeah. Now, when was the last time the band was able to go out on a big tour? Or tour pretty regular?
Well, American Tears. The guys now in American Tears are new.
Okay.
Alex is in a band also called Camelot and a band called Siret, and we talked about, Barry. But these guys joined me for this record. The last American Tears that played was really back in the 70s.
Oh.
And those guys have passed away.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
Sadly.
Yeah, so I look for them I look for
whoever's available pretty much.
30 years.
Yeah.
And, Tommy Gunn, the great drummer, passed away actually last year in New Orleans.
Wow.
And Greg passed away in the 70s. He of a drug overdose.
Wow,
so,
sad. Okay.
So those guys, but yeah, we did some great tours. We opened up,
And so
we opened up for some major things, so it was a lot of fun.
So let me ask you, what kind of prompted you to do this new album? I mean, like you said, you had a few albums previously, but was it hard for I imagine it would be hard once those guys passed on for you to want to carry it on. But that's great that you did.
Well, with the whole political thing going on, and it just felt like 1972 again.
Okay.
With the Vietnam War and the upheaval and Nixon and the whole thing, it just and plus I was just sick of formula music.
Yeah.
So tired, I wanted to do a synthesizer solo.
Yeah.
I would play a synthesizer solo and people would go, "What guitar did you use for that?" It's like, that's a fucking synthesizer.
Yeah.
It's not a guitar.
Wow. Yeah. Another.
People have not really heard these instruments.
Yeah.
And they don't know what an organ can do necessarily. They don't know what a synth can do. You play a synth and it's Jan Hammer.
Yeah.
If you're 75, it's Jan Hammer. If not, I mean, you have no clue what that sound is. So
that's a great thing about an album like this is, typically they say if somebody here you're playing an organ, you must play in the church choir. No, not exactly. But another.
It's like you hear a grindy organ, it's John Lord. But in the 70s it wasn't John Lord.
No.
A lot of people had grindy Hammond organs.
Yeah.
Synths. So it's really fun to not be in the structure and the formula of verse, chorus, verse, whatever a pop song is, and to have to be creative and come up with something new, and try to shock somebody, maybe create a moment where you're getting a reaction in some sort of way. It's interesting.
Another tune I love on here is on this new album is "Roll the Stone."
Thank you.
Yeah.
The people have been discovering that song, and that's a cool song.
And then everything you take, again, I'm assuming, I'm just kind of going by the lyrics here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Might have a lot to do with the modern world where everybody kind of wants everything for free, or just kind of take whatever you can get and.
Well, you know what? It means something to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that. It doesn't quite mean that to me.
Okay.
But I don't like to. There's one line in there. You everything you take, but you take a drop, but you give a seed.
Okay, I hear. Okay, wow. Yeah, I missed that. Yeah.
So for me, it's more of a personal love relationship. That yes, I'm putting you through school. I'm paying for your college.
Because I love you. Yeah.
Do you have children?
Stepchildren, but they're grown. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So okay. So you're giving them a drop, but they're giving you a C back in return.
Oh, okay. Wow.
That's one of the lines. That's part. There's a lot of shit in there.
Yeah, and it's amazing. But I mean, you're a writer, so you know what the song's about. But it's amazing that one line.
I don't know what it's about. That's the thing. It's like I'll discover it. In 2 years, I'll look at a line that came to me in a dream.
Yeah.
Literally.
But it's kind of interesting though. That's the line you're focusing on.
What the hell did that mean?
Yeah. That's the line that means the most to you right now. And like you said, maybe down the line it'll mean something different. Now you must dig that as a writer when somebody tells you, I listened to this song you wrote, and this is what I got out of it. And like you just kind of told me, well, that's not really what it's about, but okay.
Right now, I'm kind of losing you.
Okay. I was saying, as a writer, you must kind of dig that when somebody listens to your music and they tell you, I listened to the song and this is what I got out of it. Kind of like you just did. Not really, but okay, if that's what you think it means to you.
I'm happy that they get anything out of it.
Yeah.
I really, and so many people get totally different things out of certain songs. John Lennon was awesome at that.
Yeah.
John Lennon, in fact, he would kid about it. He liked to trick people. And,
speaking of John Lennon, can you believe 2020 marks the 40th anniversary of his death? Who would have thought?
Oh my God! Yeah, I've been looking at a lot of the interviews with Paul McCartney and people talking about John. It's so amazing that whole phenomenon of the Beatles. But sometimes lines come to you and you don't really know what they mean. I mean, Free Angel Express.
Yeah. That
came to me. I had no idea what it meant, and then it took me 3 months to realize that Express is a train.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Free Angel Express. It's cool.
Yeah. Now that brings me to the album cover, because I just dig the album cover. I mean, like it is a picture of a cool looking train. But
why did it take me 3 months to realize? I needed an album cover.
Yeah.
That holy shit, Express is a train. A train.
There you go. Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is things unfold and you realize things that you didn't realize because they're coming from a subconscious place. They're not coming. We're using 10% of our brain.
Yeah.
The other stuff is coming from another place. So it takes time to really figure out what stuff means sometimes.
Yeah. Now let me ask you. Living in Europe right now, what is the most difficult thing you've had to adjust to? I mean, driving on a different side of a road, or just have you adjusted pretty much to living there?
Well, it gets dark here in Sweden.
Okay. Yeah.
So it about 3:00 it gets dark.
Yeah. So
during the winter, during the fall. So that's hard. And then I talk to my friends, and they're in Florida, and they're jumping in the pool.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to take a swim. So that's kind of weird.
So let me ask you if you don't mind,
It's
like,
cold.
yeah.
It's cold and dark.
If you don't mind, let me ask you, like, what time is it there now? Because like, I understand you're on the other side of the world. I'm in.
Yeah, right now it's 10 o'clock. We're 6 hours. Oh, 9 hours.
Yeah, because it's about 1 o'clock here. We're in California, like Long Beach,
All
California.
right, so we're 9 hours different.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Well, I want to thank you again, Mark, for taking time to talk to me, like I said. And the best thing I can tell people is really check out this album. If you love like classic rock, I mean, this is keyboard-oriented stuff. It sounds a little bit like Yes to me, but if you're into that kind of music, you're gonna dig this. And I just want to say, Mark, I love the stuff so much that, like I said, I'm gonna go check out the previous albums. And anytime you have anything to promote, let's do this again. I really enjoyed getting to know you.
I got your email, and I will get in touch, and I really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun.
And just to let you know, yeah, anytime, man. And just to let you know, the interview will be going up probably mid-November, early December. I'll let you know. I'll send you the link when it goes up.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Take care. Nice talking.